Welcome to RGBA, Colorful Tech News and Reviews. This is episode 75. My name is Alexandre Valliere-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Menard.
And we're back.
And we're back, yeah. After what seemed like a couple of years of absence, we are now back into the podcasting world.
Yeah. So a lot of things happened. Christmas happened. I moved. And that's pretty much it.
Well, Christmas happened, and then there was lots of discussion about iPhone performance, batteries, and stuff. Okay, I think we should jump right in. So everything started a while back where we had people on Reddit that basically tested their iPhones with Geekbench 4, and they got a score. Then they went to the Apple Store to get their battery replaced, and then they came back, tested the same benchmark again, and they got much better score, like about twice as fast or something like that. So they were quite surprised with this result. So they basically posted all of the steps on Reddit, and this started kind of a big panic of people wondering if Apple was deliberately slowing down the iPhones when a new iPhone was released. So with each subsequent iOS release, every recently released phone would get a speed drop, basically. So, of course, everything caught on fire. People were complaining. People were testing their phones. They were realizing that the test that they were running right now was not the same speed as it was when they got their phone new a year before or 2 years prior. So people were all crazy about that. That is it. We caught Apple. Apple, here is the proof. You are deliberately slowing down our iPhones, and this is bad. So that kind of like started the whole thing. And yeah, basically Apple came up with a simple article explaining what's happening. And seriously, I don't give a It is so nothing for me. Basically, you have an iPhone. The battery eventually is less powerful, can hold a charge way less than when it was new. So what happens is after a certain time, when you get into the below 30%, your phone basically shuts down because you are asking it to provide you with enough power to do a very intensive task. And then it shuts down. So Apple did something with 10.2.1. They basically implemented a feature where if your battery is below a certain threshold, it's going to lower down the CPU speed so that it does not happen. So what do you prefer? Like a phone that crashes all the time, or a phone that can be used for a longer time? Like that, what Apple really is doing is exactly the opposite of what people were complaining. They don't try to force you to buy a new phone. They try to help you and keep your phone longer by making sure it doesn't crash on you. If it ever crashes on you like that, you have two choices. Either you just discard the phone and get an Android, or you go back and buy a new iPhone. And Apple is doing whatever it can to do the exact opposite so that your phone will not give you such a bad experience and can be used for a longer period of time. So for me, it's totally normal. And okay, yes, there could have been more communication, but I don't see how they could have communicated that better in a way that nobody would be pissed. Either it would confirm the rumors, the controversy, or it would just piss off like another half of the population. So
Yeah, the only thing that could have been done better would be like to communicate better and to say it up front. Like, look, we're going to slow down your phone because your battery is not strong enough, and the CPU they're too strong in a new phone. The CPU is so strong that the batteries are not strong enough. So that's like they're stuck in the middle. So I guess that's why they slowed down. They're slowing down the CPU so you have like a better, longer experience.
Yeah, but you have to be wary because whenever a company says that this is like that because it's badly designed, if that's a conclusion that people come up with, they're going to get a class action lawsuit against them to get all their phones replaced or upgraded or whatever. So they have to tread slowly and carefully so that they don't exactly say we made it like a bad design decision, like if it was like a lemon, and that's what you have, because people will go back and sue Apple, which they are now doing also because of this whole thing. But I do agree that if it was like it is on the Mac, where you have a pop-up that says that your battery needs servicing, and then you have numbers like number of charge cycles, number of mAh capacity of your battery, and then you see that this is the original capacity, and now your maximum capacity is as such. This transparency can be easily explained by a genius when you bring your laptop to the genius bar and you say, "Here, I have this warning. What does it mean?" Then the genius says, "Here, look, this number means this number means that, and this is what's happening." Okay, it sucks that your battery is not as good as it could be, but that's like Apple says in their letter, it's a consumable. So eventually it's going to run out and not hold a charge. So that kind of transparency would have been great on iOS. But I'm guessing that maybe they tried to just make the experience better without actually like scaring the user away or something like that. So that's why they didn't say anything. But yeah, it's communication could have been better, but I don't think they could have avoided any kind of problem. There was no ideal scenarios where communication would fix this situation correctly for everyone. Uh, Either the conspiracy theorist would scream, or they would scream for something totally the opposite. And if not that, then people would complain that it's by design that the battery dies after a year or less, or just above a year, so it's not under warranty. And that's like the by design, it's made to last a year and a half.
But after a year, the battery's been through like at least 300 cycles. That's a lot for batteries.
Yep, yeah. Usually batteries is like 500, and if you're super lucky and you got like a top of the line battery, you get like maybe 1,000 cycles. Some company advertised 1,500 cycles, but that's very hard to reach. Usually, after 500 to 1,000, you can still charge it for like 1,500 cycles, but you won't get 15,000 cycles full charge. So at one point, the battery will stop charging, and that's when I think that number means. But for Apple devices, 500 charges is usually like a big number. And you have to understand that one charge is not just, it's at 70%, I'm going to plug it in, goes to 100. No, that's 30% of one charge. So it's 500 charges, cycles of 0 to 100%. So you have to accumulate all of your little percentage when you plug it. It's at 50%, you plug it, so that's half a cycle. Then the next day it's 90%, you plug it, that's 10% of a cycle. So, you have to add those up, and that's what they say is 500 cycles.
And also, there's no reason that they'd want to make this like the whole iPhone experience bad for the customers, because they want you to buy another phone. If they make it so bad and so slow to get you to buy another phone, you're not going to be happy with the experience you just had with this iPhone, and you're going to switch and go to Android or BlackBerry or whatever you want to go. So
BlackBerry.
I was trying to find examples, and it's all that came up, BlackBerry.
Yeah, well, it's like replacing an iPad with a boulier to count the
Yeah.
balls.
Yeah. I don't know how. Yeah.
Didn't I read something this week like that BlackBerry is like dying for real or something?
But they've been dying for like the past 5-10 years, no?
Yeah, but I think there's like one more nail on the coffin right now. I don't know. Anyways, it's in the news somewhere. So what's Apple doing to help us with that situation?
So they came out with a release this week, between Christmas and New Year, saying, "We know, we sorry," and we'll add you can come in the store and we'll replace your battery for $29 US and 35 Canadian. That's really cheap for Canada. It's $65 off or $64 off, because it's normally $100 here for battery. So, and they also said that in the coming updates, they're going to add more information in the battery section and in the battery section in the settings. So more information saying your battery needs replacement or anything like that.
Yeah, because right now there are a bunch of apps on the App Store that can tell you exactly what is your charge capacity of your iPhone. So you can have public APIs that tell you what is the microamp hour, so the mAh value of a full battery, new battery, and what is your current maximum charge level. So that API is public. The API that is private is the one that tells you how many charge cycles you've been through. So, for example, if Apple tells you your battery is good for 500 charge cycles and you have a bad battery, and after 7 months, your battery doesn't hold the charge, you go to the Apple store and they're going to run their diagnostics and it's going to tell them that you have reached, let's say 600%, 600 charge cycle. So that makes your battery not good and they could replace it because for some reason it overcharged or whatever. But that API is not public. So that's why you don't find it on any App Store apps. You have the capacity and the current maximum capacity, but you don't have that charge cycle number. And that's the magic number that the Genius Bar uses to tell you if your battery is good, bad, or needs replacement or not. And this, however, can be found with using some Mac apps that have actually access to some low-level information on the iPhone. So I don't remember the name exactly, but there's like a bunch of backups app that allows you to back up your phone or some your contacts or whatever. I think they mimic the iTunes syncing to get into your phone and get some information back. You don't need a jailbreak for that. It's just there. But yeah, that's the only way right now you can do it from home. The other way is to go to the Genius Bar, ask them for a diagnostic on the battery, and look at the number that comes up on the screen. And that's the only way. So yeah, just to summarize it, I don't think Apple did anything wrong in this. Seriously, I would prefer my phone not to crash, to slow down a bit when it goes in the lower percentage of the battery to give me a better experience. I would still see it, I would still feel it, and I would understand that something is wrong. Me as a geek would probably run a couple of CPU benchmarks or diagnostics, and I would be able to see what is the clock of the CPU. Right now, I did it with my phone. If I put it in low power mode, I can see the number of megahertz go down rapidly. So that's the intended behavior for low power mode. That's what they do to alleviate the strain on the iPhone. But yeah, I don't think Apple did something wrong there. They could have did something better with communication, but even then, I don't believe it would have been better. With that $29 replacement battery, that's perfect. It's affordable and it's super easy to do. And I hope people will use that because at $30, it's about what it costs for people to go to a third party store, either a reseller or a service center or something that's not authorized, and to get your battery replaced. So, but now you get a legit Apple battery and not some third-party battery that should work as well, but never really does. So in this case, it's pretty safe.
Yeah, I also think that the only thing I'm happy of all this, what I like of all this, I mean, is the cheaper battery replacement. I'm probably going to get my girlfriend's battery replaced because she doesn't go through a day. She doesn't make it through a day, but it's a 2 and a something month-year-old phone. So it's like, it's expected. And also, I'm really happy to get more information on the battery health in the settings section.
Yeah, that will be a big win for us to be able to understand better the situation. Hopefully, there's going to be numbers in there and not just like a red, yellow, and green kind of thing. Because if you're in the yellow or green, like what's the limit between like this is a bad battery, needs servicing or not, and like am I getting close to be a bad? Let's say I'm at my 11th month of my iPhone. Like, should I do something before my warranty ends, or should I wait 3 more months and then I'm out of warranty? But now, at least at $35 Canadian, it's not a big expense, and it's the worst thing is for people far from an Apple store. But if you're close to an Apple store, then it's not too bad. You just go there, you get your battery replaced. I think they do it live. Am I right?
I'm not sure. I think so, yes. I think they say just come back in an hour.
Yeah, something like that. So go take a coffee, whatever, and not browse Twitter, and then come back. All right, so moving on to one news. I was pretty happy to see this. If you all remember, the Apple Lisa was the very first computer in history. Lisa? Lisa? Okay, Lisa then. So if you remember, this was the very first graphical user interface computer that was basically $10,000 at the time, and it was super expensive, super original. And now, with the help of Apple, which is something interesting, they are the Computer History Museum actually acquired the source code of the Lisa OS, and they are basically working on it to make it work. I don't know what. I don't know if there's part of the system that was not working after a number of years or a number of decades. Maybe there's a problem with the year 2000. I don't know, whatever. Maybe 2034. I think that was something of a problem for Apple hardware when we were discussing the Y2K bug for Windows PC. So, anyways, it's been worked on by computer engineers. It's been supervised by Apple. So Apple has an active role in this endeavor. So that's pretty cool. And once that will be done, there will be a exhibition, of the Apple Lisa, and there's gonna be like a big document written about it and some I don't know what else, but basically it's coming to a museum and people will be able to enjoy it. I don't know if they're gonna clone it or make it emulatable. Basically, will run in an emulator or something else. I don't know what's the old extent of this project, but it's always good to see that some old tech gets preserved like that, especially if Apple has a say in this and they're going to be able to help and also going to be able to really make sure that the experience is what it was at this time.
So I got nothing to say about that.
No, have you ever tried one?
Elisa, no. Have
No?
you?
Okay. No. Only Macintoshes.
My girlfriend used to go to UQAM there, the university here in Montreal, and they had like a big, I was wandering around the school once, waiting for class to finish or something, and they had a big, like computer corridor, if you want, in the basement, and they had like all these Macs that were deconstructed and laid out on a piece of wood or anything, and they were all exposed on the wall. It was pretty cool. I'd have to go back there to see.
Yeah, do you think it was like a mini museum of old university computers or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't as geek as I am now, so I wasn't I wasn't aware of everything.
Maybe there's an Apple One there lying around.
Yeah.
All right. So another piece of news has also triggered some discussion, not as much as the battery stuff, but something interesting. Mark Gurman published an article saying that Apple plans to combine iPhone, iPad, and Mac apps to create one user experience. So as things goes, I'm pretty sure Mark wrote the article, but did not choose the title because the title means nothing in relation to the content of the article. So that's that's a big no-no for me. People trying to make up like super clickbaity titles just to get you to click the article and makes no sense. But the content is actually pretty great. So basically, Apple is trying to make some kind of a change to its platforms to either share components around or to share technologies so that people knowing one platform can move to the other. I'm guessing it's the iOSification of the APIs for the macOS platform, because right now there's much more iOS developers than Mac developers, and it's also much more modern in terms of frameworks, the iOS code base. So maybe they're trying to do something to help people building iOS app to build Mac apps and be able to bridge to cross this bridge to the other side. Same thing with the tvOS platform, trying to reuse some of the new technologies they put in there that are basically only working there. So it's a very interesting effort. We know they are already started that a while back. Just with photos, you can see maps also. These are apps that have shared UI components that look a lot like their iOS counterparts. And also for developers, the name of the API endpoints are basically pretty similar also. So it kind of already started. I don't know if it was a company-wide effort or just a side project to see if it's feasible or tenable to do this piece by piece and eventually maybe release a new version with all those things encapsulated. But the effort is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good thing because there's so many iOS developers right now, and making it a lot easier for them to write apps for the Mac or just port app for the Macs would make it better. The only thing the little circle we not travel in because we don't travel, but what am I trying to say here? The little circle we live in. They're all concerned that it might be only in Swift, and pretty much everybody's still writing Objective-C. So that would be interesting to see. Objective-C, see? Haha.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it makes sense to embrace a new platform, a new language.
Yeah.
So for me, it would just be perfect. I understand that for Mac developers who are used to do everything in C++, or Objective C, is going to be a gap to jump to be able to code for macOS on the new platform. But at one point, you need to let go of the old and embrace the new stuff. And for me, Swift and the new frameworks for iOS and tvOS are the way to go. And that makes sense to be embraced. Not to try to say, yes, but we are only Objective-C developers and we don't know anything else. And please make the new frameworks backward compatible with Objective-C. That will never work. All right, so moving on to Review Corner. And this time, it's not going to be me. It's going to be Tyler in the spotlight. So I heard you got a new device.
Yeah, so I bought an iPhone 10, or X, if you want to call it. Woohoo! Woohoo! Woohoo me! Woohoo! Bank account.
No, bank account.
Yeah. So, like, my one-liner review is, like, I don't know why people haven't been raving this much about Touch ID, but Touch ID is crazy. Especially
Touch ID?
Yeah, Touch ID.
Touch ID.
Yeah, you know, new
Okay.
Touch ID and the new iPhone 10.
Cool, yeah. Where there's no button there?
Yeah, it's Touch ID, but with your face. It's called Face ID.
Ah, nice.
No, but seriously, Face ID is stupidly good. I don't know how, or maybe it's because Touch ID was so mediocre for me, but Face ID, it failed once in the past 4 days. Yeah, since I have the phone. So it only failed once, and I don't know why. I think I was in the train for no reason and it failed, but that's it. It always works. And I keep sending you selfies of how and like at what angle I get the phone to be unlocked, and it makes I don't know why. Eh? Yeah, like resting my hand in my face with the phone flat on my desk, and I just lean over to see like the notification I just received, and I just sent you now one with Slack. It opens with the mic in my face, my headphones.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like the one you sent me yesterday, I think I basically saw like 2/3 of your face crammed down the bottom of the screenshot. So I only can see your nose and your eyes, and your fist was covering most of your mouth. And yeah, and I think you said like if that doesn't work, you type in your number, you don't change your position, and you try again, and it works. So it's really is learning. That's the amazing thing is it's always evolving, always getting new data, making sure that the 3D model of your face and your features is up to date. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the one I sent you yesterday, it wasn't too bad, but then I got it to not work with my winter coat on, with the hood and like the jacket zipped up all the way to my nose. First time it didn't work because half of my face is not there, but then you just put in your PIN so it learns, and you just close the phone back up, open it up again, and it works after that. So it really is learning on the fly.
Do you think that for some reason over the course of the last couple months, the hardware components were updated so that your phone, which is more recent than people who got the very first units, probably have like a revision A or revision 0 board, and since then they did some hardware changes so that it's even better and you are benefiting from that?
I don't think so. I don't think they I think they ship maybe better software for the phone, maybe updates, because what do we have now? We have 11.2
2.1 2.2. I think there's a micro update that was released for the HomeKit bug.
Yeah, we're at 2.1. So I think it's software, and I seriously think it's just because Touch ID is so hit or miss for me that. Hello, Tyler. What are you doing, Siri? That's on my iPhone 7 too. It's the older phone that just came up. Okay. Yeah. So I really think it's because Touch ID was so mediocre, and that's why Face ID for me is crazy. See, I just picked up my iPhone 7 right now, and it won't unlock with my fingers.
You have those problems. Like you have ever-changing fingerprints.
Yeah.
So you're perfect bank robber.
Yeah, that's it. And especially now it's with like I've been doing a lot of home improvement, and my hands are just finished. So
yeah, of course.
So I really get the people that say that are like electricians or just people that work with their hands a lot and their hands are always busted up, that they're really happy to get Face ID because they don't have to use their fingers anymore.
Yeah, I remember a discussion about Rev Zero boards from Don Melton. He was basically waiting for the iPhone 7 to get the revision 2 or whatever, revision B, I don't know what you want to call it, like the second hardware revision, because he says that he never buys first gen hardware
Boards, yeah.
because of some problems. So I'm guessing that maybe it's already done for your iPhone, and maybe that's why. Or, like you said, the software is better. So people who basically set up their face a couple months ago, that data that was acquired is not as good as it could be if they started today. So maybe they have to redo the whole Face ID process to relearn their face, and from today, it might be better. So that's also one thing. We don't have lots of sun nowadays, but you tried outside. Did you see any problems with the IR from the sun or something like that?
Right now, no. I removed the attention detection because of my sunglasses. It doesn't work with them. And
Okay.
also, attention is kind of annoying sometimes. Like you want to just unlock your phone while not looking at it, and then when you look at it, I want it to be unlocked. So I like that they remove the attention. It's an option to remove the attention detection. Um, I have no problem with the missing home button. Like the swipe up is very natural right now. It's been 3 days, so everything that I say here, it's been 3 days. I don't feel I'm not missing it. On the first day, maybe I kept hitting like the just on the screen, but you get pretty used to just swiping up. That works great. You don't see the notch at all after
3 days, yeah.
yeah, you don't see the notch at all. I don't watch a lot of video like you do on on my phone, so I didn't get I think I watched one video, but I didn't zoom it up all the way. I left it with the letterboxes on the side.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be such a big problem. Like the iPhone 7 Plus is, of course, bigger than the 7, but for me, it was bigger, so that's why I liked it. But do I need like as big of a screen to enjoy videos? I think the middle ground between the regular and plus size, that is the iPhone 10, would be ideal because you can keep it letterbox and you still have something that's slightly bigger than the iPhone 7 size. Or if you really want to enjoy that, it could work also with the little bar there and the notch. But I don't know. It's. I think it's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be such a problem. Of course, if you, for some reason, need to hold your phone further away and that plus size really is important to you, then the iPhone 10 might not be as good for you. But for me personally, I think I could live by.
Oh yeah, that's the only problem I've had with Face ID. The first night uh, I picked it up at like 8 at night, so I was standing up in my bed without my glasses or contacts, and I was holding the phone too close to my face because I'm super blind, so it wasn't able to detect my face. And then I was like, "Why is this not working? It's supposed to work in the dark." Nah, nah, nah. So so then I remembered you have to hold it close, like further away from your face for it to actually read your whole face and not be reading just the tip of my nose. So that's the only problem I've had so far.
What other two features you really love about this phone apart
Face
from
ID
Face ID?
and Face ID.
Okay, so that's the only thing you like.
I'm telling you, I've never been so excited about a stupid face detection feature on a phone. I keep telling my girlfriend, like, look how it unlocked. Look, I can unlock with my face, and she's getting a bit annoyed. I think
Yeah, they tend to, girlfriend.
she understands, but she's compassionate. But then I think it's enough now.
Yeah, she understood the first few times. Now
Yeah,
after 50 times,
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah.
She
I know.
gets it.
But seriously, I haven't tried the camera yet. I tried one portrait mode because I never had a plus phone like you, so portrait mode is new for me. I've tried it with like a little toy at work, but it didn't work quite well. So I'm anxious to see it with like people and stuff like that. But I haven't have a situation to use it yet.
Yeah, it's pretty special portrait mode. Sometimes if I turn it on and I'm too close, it's gonna trigger and work. But then if I try to reframe my picture, move a bit around from left to right, it's gonna tell me after a few seconds that I'm too close or too far. So I need to move around. But sometimes if I get it like at the wrong distance, but just by opening it, switching the mode to portrait, I can sometimes get a portrait shot without being at the proper distance. So I don't think I get the background as blurry as it can be, but it's still blurry enough that it does make a difference and it works. So I don't know. It needs some work. You need like to, well, I mean, some work from you, from your perspective, to understand what's the ideal distance. You have to be, I think it's 2 meters or something like that. So you need to move around a bit more. So it's more like if you have a standard DSLR with a fixed lens, like a 50 millimeters, and you have to move around to reframe your subject because you cannot just zoom in, zoom out to reframe it. So it's like going back to my roots of photography. So that's pretty nice. But you still need to understand, like, okay, I want to take this shot from this object, but there's a wall behind me, so I cannot go further. So you need to be wary of that. And eventually it's going to click. So you're going to understand, like, okay, this picture cannot be taken from this angle. Let me move around to the side or something, and then turn the object or the person or whatever. So yeah, it's going to require some adjustments, but in a couple of weeks or months, depending if you take lots of portrait modes, you're going to get something pretty nice. I'm looking forward to the portrait mode with the whole black and white thing. I think it's Spotlight. Is that what it's called?
Studio light, the thing?
Not studio, the one that's like Stage Light. Is it Stage? The last one.
I'll tell you right now. Stage light mono.
Yeah, Stage Light Mono. So that's the most, I would say, aggressive change that this portrait mode allows you to do. And also selfie portrait mode, so that's nice for you.
Yeah, I just took one. I'm sending it to you on Slack. It's not good. It's really not good.
It's not good, no?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't like the mic, the headphones, my glasses. It doesn't like me, I think.
Well, it's not that bad. Oh, yeah. Your headphones are kind of screwing around with it.
Yeah. They're like, why does this guy have big ears, but a big gap after that between his hair and...
Yeah. Yeah, eventually they're going to make like a podcaster edition, and it's going to work for us now.
Yeah. Other than that, the screen is really nice. The OLED screen.
Yeah, you tried all the dark black backgrounds instead of gray.
It doesn't work really well, like the dark background or dark themed apps. You don't get a sense of, and people have been complaining on podcasts also, like you don't get a sense of like hierarchy and the difference between like stuff, if you want, in the app. Like say for an Overcast, I've switched back to white because like I don't see like the difference between each row in the table view is not super clear, and now like the show art really sticks out because the rest is black and they're all a bunch of colors, so it looks a little weird. And like the headers are like this weird gray, and then the section on top, like the playlist, is this weird kind of bluish green gray. I don't like the different, like the 50 Shades of Gray iPhone app. So I just switched back to white. Same thing for Tweetbot. Tweetbot is hit or miss depending on the intensity of my screen. Like depending if I'm in a dark room or I'm in bright sunlight in the train, say, or like here in this room, it's fine. But as soon as the screen goes super dim, like in a dark room, like the gray becomes a weird gray. So I switch back to white, and the white is fine.
Okay.
But good thing both these apps, you can switch the theme using your 2 fingers and switching up and down. Like if you're switching a light switch, I don't know if you knew this, but it's a good
With
way.
2 fingers?
Yeah, put 2 fingers on your screen and on Tweetbot.
Yeah.
And swipe up.
Theme,
Yeah. And you can do the same thing on Overcast.
Yeah, and for Narwhal, the Reddit client, you just tap the top left icon, and it also works. Or slightly swipe it, I think. Yeah, slightly swipe it. So,
Aren't you supposed to use a Apollo?
Yeah, but I still keep both of them. I still haven't moved to Apollo fully, so yeah.
I even tried switching to Twitterific.
Yeah,
that has a nice, really nice dark mode.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice app. So,
but there's a couple of things that they not annoy me, but are not like part of my normal routine of like Twitter. So it's gonna take a time if I switch completely.
Yeah, same here. I switched even on the Mac and on iOS. I switched both Twitterific, and there's some little things that are irritating because I'm so used to Tweetbot's way of doing things and the way the swipes work and the way the UI is laid out, and it's just for me, it's easy to just scan through my timeline because I know exactly where each element starts and ends with the proper font size and everything and the proper picture placement and size. So for me, it's very easy. But now, if I move to Twitterific, even though it's a great app and I strongly recommend you look at it, it still just doesn't click for me. It's hard to just go back to that or to change client. If I had no choice, my number two client would be Twitterific, without a doubt. That's for sure. If Tweetbot would go away tomorrow, that would be the one I would choose for sure. But right now, I still have the choice, and I tend to go back to Tweetbot every time.
Yeah, because it's just the way that the table rows are laid out. Just where do you have the reply? Where's the hours? Like how many hours ago? Like just that, and from where the tweet was sent. And I'm just used to the Tweetbot, but I'd really like to switch to Twitterific because it's a better citizen for the iPhone. It's a way better citizen on the iPhone 10. Like the layout is much more iPhone 10-y, if you want.
Yeah, but that's what made tabbots what they are now, is the way that they were basically customizing every UI elements to their likings. And when Tweetbot came out, that was the big thing, is that we had Tweety, which was great. Then it got acquired, and then Tweetbot came and kind of like did this whole robot layout with skeuomorphism everywhere, which was very amazing, very customized. And then that kind of started a trend where people would put more emphasis on the design of even simple UI text fields and elements and everything. And they were all customized, colors, borders, padding, and everything to look to match a certain aesthetic, and it was great. But now, after so many years, this kind of winded down a bit, at least, so it's not that jarring, but you still have that customized look that is very special to to tabbots apps, that is not really following the exact same layout of the official apps.
Yeah. So the screen is nice, the OLED screen. I don't see the, people are concerned about if you look at it at an angle, how do you call that? Like the blue hue there?
Yeah.
It's not a
When
problem.
you tilt.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I don't see it because I don't care, or I don't see it because I've always had the phone square to my face or something like that.
But even if you don't notice it, and your reflex is, when you look at your phone, is to actually turn it around facing you. So your natural reflex is to reorient the object to the ideal looking angle. So just naturally, you're gonna see this go away quickly. So it's not a problem per se.
Another thing that's good to having the phone like a month or two late, like you were saying, maybe I got a better board or something, but pretty much all the apps I use are updated for iPhone 10, except for one. That's pretty annoying, like my Weatherline app. But the dev is saying, the owner of the app is saying that he had a problem with his developer or something, and it's coming out in beginning of next year, so that's good. Other than that, you really see like apps that have taken different directions in their iPhone 10 like choices, like how do they lay out the screen and all that. So that's going to constantly evolve, and I like the way, like Halide, for example, the camera app is really like full on iPhone 10 app. It's really, really cool how they've laid out all this stuff at the bottom and using both notches to display information while you're on your camera. But it's a bit too geeky of a camera, but I'll try to start using it. I've just downloaded it a couple of days ago.
Nice. Yeah. What about the holding the phone? Like, do you have problems? Do you think it's slippery? Do you think, because you're caseless still, right?
Yes. It's not that much slippier. I think the iPhone 10, the iPhone 7, sorry, was more grippy, especially because it was smaller. But I'm not sure.
And also, you had the jet black, like me.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if jet black versus like this glass and stainless steel band. I think jet black was more grippier out of itself. But to compare, I'd have to have an iPhone 8 to see really. But I think the jet black was more grippier than this glass. I've tried wireless charging, or I hate the word wireless charging, so inductive charging or contact charging with the Samsung thing at work. So it works. I'm looking into buying one for my nightstand but I need one without like a big LED light that's gonna blind me or keep me awake.
Yeah, those LED lights are fine when it's in the office, but when you're doing it in your bedroom, you need something quieter.
Yeah, I found one model that has a LED light, but the light just blinks a couple times to say, okay, I'm charging, and then it shuts off. So I'm looking into getting that one, but it's only on Amazon US, so it's more expensive, but I'll see.
Cool.
Other than that, I think that's it. Like the camera bump is huge.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but you never had the plus one, so
No.
always the plus versions always had bigger camera bumps and wider because they had two lenses. So you never were used to that, and you are caseless, so that's one thing to consider. Because if I had the iPhone 10, I would get a case for sure, because I don't want to pay $500 to replace my screen if I crack it. So that bump would basically disappear because most of the cases are made so that they basically fit flush with the lens. So that's perfect. But in your case, you're going Indiana Jones style with no protection, whipping your way around with your phone in your hand with no case. So that's you're gonna feel it for sure, especially on your desk, I guess. No, if you put it on the desk, it's rocking a lot, I guess.
It's not too bad. I don't use it on the desk that much, and because of the bump, it makes it easier to pick it up.
True. Yeah, there's a little gap there, so you can put your finger in there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Do you have any questions about the iPhone 10, or else I think that's it?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. I'm happy you're enjoying your new gadget. So looking forward to many, many, many portrait mode photos in the coming weeks. So.
It's for sure bigger than the other one, but I think I'm just going to get used to it. It's not as big as when I had my 2 weeks or whatever with the plus size phone, but you feel it like just handling it. It's a lot bigger, and you have to be careful to not fumble. And I have to use two hands often because the screen is just huge.
Yeah, it's so long that you cannot reach the top for sure.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully, like the UI paradigm will evolve, because right now we're in a weird situation where we have one phone that is super tall and one phone that is super wide and super tall and one phone that is like regular one-handed use. So it's hard for Apple to make a OS like interactions that are working well on all three types of devices. But one day, I don't know in how many years, we're only going to have some iPhone 10 style devices. And that's going to be much easier for them to say, okay, starting with iOS 13, let's say, we have this new UI and that is optimized for a single use, which is for the iPhone 10 style bezel-less device with the swipe up to unlock feature. So everything will be optimized for that handling. And I'm guessing that we're going to see a lot more resurgence of controls going back to the bottom of the screen instead of being at the top. So that back button that is always at the top, that all those controls that are hovering over there, we're going to get something different in a year or two, I'm guessing. I'm hoping, because right now it's hard for them to make like elements that are working well for both devices, which have very different use cases.
And one thing I really don't like is a control center.
Yeah, from the top. Yeah.
Yeah, control center is from the right ear if you want. Mm-hmm. It's really not. I used to use control center a lot to skip ads in podcasts or just like play pause on podcasts, but it's not at the right place. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to change though, because now you have the swipe up to unlock and to go back. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, especially now that people are learning these new interactions, and since they're not discoverable and you need to know about them to use them, Apple can hardly change them in the future. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Maybe there's going to be like one single update like iOS 7 was, but this time not for looks, but for UI paradigms. And it's going to be a new interaction for everything. Everything's going to be moving around, and you're going to get the new iOS 12 or 13 or whatever with everything new. And that's going to be your new starting point. Both optimized for iPhone 10 style devices only, and also for like new placement of all those swiping gestures.
Yeah, The other thing I also like is we keep saying this review is done, but I'm playing with the phone and I figure some more stuff. The home indicator, like that could be a bit smaller. I guess it's just, well, it'll get smaller with the time and with the updates, or just an option to make it disappear. Because once you know how to go home, you don't need this stupid bar at the bottom to tell you, hey, you can go home from here. We know it's the new home button. Okay. But I also like the just swipe left to switch apps.
Yeah.
Like go to the last apps. That's pretty cool. And I'm using the Vitici way to go to get the multitasking.
Which one is that?
It's a swipe up and to the right.
Okay, so you swipe diagonally, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up and to the left instead of going to you can like swipe up and hold.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the multitasking. But if you just swipe up and to the left fast, it does it also.
Okay, cool. Yeah. One thing I'm wondering, maybe that could be like in a future update, like you said, that the home indicator can go away, eventually fade out. Maybe if you are running a video in full screen, that part can also be removed, and you can only have one pillar to the left to hide the notch, but still have the whole rest of the screen as the video. So your video wouldn't be centered into the phone, but it would take almost everything in terms of screen estate. So that could be a way to get a bigger, wider video with nothing obstructing the view. So that's one way we could see like a future update to iOS. When you tap to zoom, you don't have the notch and everything. So it's still rectangular, only pillar box on the left only with the notch, but the rest will be fine. Anyway, that's a way of probably making the video bigger without having anything obstructing the view.
Yeah, they'd have to make it like a round Rex 2 on the top if you want to make it match the other side, but that's fine.
Yeah, I think round Rex would be okay.
I think now that's really it for the iPhone 10.
All right. Yeah, so for me, not many reviews. Was basically busy being on vacation, doing nothing. So I only did one thing. I finally did my edit for the Juiced board beta board for 2018. I did a review. Sadly, the snow came way too early. I got the board, and a couple of days later, I wasn't able to write it anymore. And since then, there was a couple of weekends or days that the forecast was saying that it would like be hotter, and I was hoping for some snow to melt, at least to have maybe just the bike path cleared so I could use it. But it never happened. Like every time we were getting close to those hotter days, it was either like raining or ice storm, or not ice storm, but Verglas, and then it was like a foot of snow or whatever. So yeah, I think it's going to be done for this year. So I basically did my review. It's about 15 minutes long, so it's a bit longer, but I tried to explain every feature of the board and every differences. And I did a little conclusion at the end where this was me writing the board, and then a couple of days later, this happened, and then you see the whole snowstorm. So there's going to be a way to explain why there's not many writing videos there. There's only one in the whole review. So anyways, yeah, I'll put the links in the show notes so you'll be able to see that.
And I'll add a footnote. Verglas is freezing rain in English.
Freezing rain. Okay, freezing rain.
But
Isn't it like
Verglas sounds more fancy, so we'll leave it in.
Yeah, so the Verglas episode. All right, so that's it for this week. You can find the show notes at rgba.fm/75, episode 75. You can find us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. I'm Valliere on Twitter, VALLIERES.
And I'm Tyler Menard, TylerMenard. Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.